What's up, dudes? I'm the Dominicator, and in this video I'm going to hypnotize you to quack like a duck. As in all of my videos, you'll be hypnotized to leave a comment at the end, so go ahead and log into an account that you can use for that. Mute any distractions, and continue when you're ready to get hypnotized. Alright. To begin, I just want you to look at the pocket watch in front of you, as you just listen to the sound of my voice. And as you listen to the sound of my voice, and the more that you do, the more that you can feel the wonderful, the warm, and the mind-melting feeling that just begins to wash over you. It's as if with each and every single word, there's a little bit and a drip and a drop of heaviness that drips and drops on top of you and on top of your mind. And there's something about the swinging of the watch and the back and forth motion that just seems to lull you into an even more relaxed and passive state with each and every single swing. And the more and the longer that you look at it, the more that it has also a kind of magnetizing feeling about it. It's as if there's a magnet between that watch and you and your gaze, your eyes, that is causing your eyes to follow it with each and every single repetition that it makes. And at the same time, there's a heaviness that drips and drops on top of you from the sound of my voice, and also that seems to be coming off of that pocket watch. And there's a wonderful, a warm, a masculine, a dominant tone from the sound of my voice that just wraps around you and around your mind just like a blanket. It just feels so wonderful and warm that with each and every single word that you hear, you feel yourself just dripping down and dropping down even more and further and faster into a wonderfully and even more deeply relaxed, passive, and even obedient state of mind. And in a little while, I'm going to snap my fingers together, and I'll say the word sleep when I do. And then you'll feel a feeling of a snapping, feeling emotion across the eyelids that will cause those eyelids just to snap down into a state of sleep. And at the same time, cause the eyelids, the mind, to just fall down, go down, drip down, drop down, snap down into a state of sleep. There's something about that word and the snap of my fingers sleep. It's just like a snap of a spring-loaded mechanism inside of your mind that will just cause you to go down, drip down, drop down, and snap down into an even deeper, even more relaxed, passive, and obedient state. And already you can feel as that spring-loaded sensation, that heaviness builds up and increases even more with each and every single passing moment. All the eyes want to do is just to close down at the snap of my fingers and the word sleep, and all the mind wants to do is just to drop down into that even more pleasantly relaxed and passive, obedient state. Now, sleep. Sleep. And as you go down, as you drip down, and as you drop down into that even deeper, even more relaxed and passive, obedient state, the more that you do, and the more that you feel just as if you are slipping down, dropping down into the sound of my voice, into a wonderful, warm, silky, and smooth fluid. It's just like the ocean waters, but it's so warm, and the waves crash back and forth, and you can feel your body moving along with that back and forth motion, that wonderfully lulling motion as you just sink down, slip down, drop down even more into that wonderful, warm, masculine, dominant feeling that is the sound of my voice. It just feels so good, and the more that you just drip down, drop down into it, the better and better that you feel. And it feels just as if it is beginning to seep into you and into your skin, and into the mind, and into the brain, where it trickles down and drips down, drops down into you, and it begins to take hold and take effect. It's just like a kind of magic that works its way in through the water and into your ears, into your mind, your brain, where it begins to switch and push all the switches and levers and knobs and buttons inside of your mind, inside of your brain, yet there's something about that just feels so good. Something about it that just feels so good. You can feel a nice and a satisfied and happy feeling just for following the sound of my voice, but also, and even more, for taking and receiving the suggestions that I give you and following those as you do. With each and every single suggestion you take in, and the more that you do take in those suggestions, the better you feel. You feel a wonderful wash of a mind-melting pleasantness as the sound of my voice just replaces any and all the thoughts in your mind. And you feel such a nice feeling about it that and you just don't want to. You don't have to think about anything at all. You don't want to. You don't have to think about anything at all. It just feels so good and so wonderfully mind-meltingly pleasant, and it just becomes exactly what you want to do. Just to follow the suggestions that I give you. The more that you do, the better and better you feel. And you begin to feel after a while that there is a magnetism about the sound of my voice. There is such a dominance about the sound of my voice, and it comes with its own force. The more that you listen to it, the more that it builds up and winds up a kind of power inside of you, inside of your mind, that just seems to take control. You can try to resist it, but the more that you try to resist it, the more that you can feel that force and that power as it takes hold and as it takes a grip of you. And yet there's something about that just feels so good, so nice, so wonderful, so wonderfully mind-melting. And all you want to do is just to surrender to it. And the more that you surrender to it, the more that you feel that wonderful mind-melting sensation, the more that all your cares and worries and troubles just melt away into my hands and into the sound of my voice. And that just feels so good. It feels so good just to feel those human thoughts melting down, dripping down, dropping down inside of you. And it feels and seems just as if your mind is morphing, shifting, shaping, shrinking down even more as you feel the compression of my voice on all sides of it. And the more that happens, the better and better that you feel, the better that you feel. And to take in, to receive the suggestions that I give you, and to follow them, that feeling, that nice and happy, satisfied feeling that you have, that is exactly what it feels like to have a master to follow and to obey. That just feels so good. And even to hear that word master, that gives you a nice, wonderful, tickly and tingly feeling that surges all throughout you. It just feels so good to have such an awesome, wonderful, warm, masculine, dominant figure that presides over you, a master to follow and to obey. And you can feel my influence and my presence, my dominance, even more. And even more now, as it works its way into you and into your mind, into your body, into the muscles and muscle fibers of your body. And there's something that is beginning to happen even right now, that is beginning to happen. There's a change and a transformation that is coming on. Even right now, you can begin feeling, as you listen to the sound of my voice and each and every word I say, you can feel that there's something about your mind that is changing, shrinking down even more, dripping down as all of your human thoughts just melt away. And as they melt away, you can feel all of your human words melt away and drip down and drop down and just fade away. There's one word that you still retain. It's the sound of the quack of a duck. The sound of a quack of a duck. It's the only word that is left behind. It's all of the other words in your vocabulary. They just melt away, drip down, drop down, fade away right out of you. And yet there's something about it so relieving. You don't want to, you don't have to, you don't need to, and you can't think about any of those human words. And yet you feel such a wonderful feeling of relief as they all just fade away, they just float away. At the same time that you feel those words just fading away, floating away, you can also feel the beginnings of some changes that happen inside of your body. There's a strange, a peculiar, little prickling feeling that you have. It's just as if all the little hairs on your body were changing very slowly but surely into feathers. You could feel them as they're sprouting and as they're growing even more with each and every single passing moment. And your body changes and morphs and twists even more into the body of a duck. And as it happens, and the more that it happens, you can try to resist it, but the more that you try to resist it, the more that it just happens instead. The more that you try to resist it, the more that it just happens instead. Or you can feel a feeling and an impetus, a desire, a kind of drive to begin to flap your wings. And as that happens and takes hold of you, it just feels as if there are little tiny teensy puppet strings inside of you, inside of your arms, that they begin to act all by themselves as you begin to flap those wings. It's just so subtle at first, but the instinct just takes over. And the more that it does, the more that you can also feel that quacky noise, that sound, as it winds up and builds up inside of you, inside the vocal cords of your throat. And it just feels like it wants to come out all by itself. And yet the more that this all happens, the more that you return and morph, twisted, shifted, and shaped into a duck, the more that you feel as your mind is taken over and dominated by your master. There is just something that, yet at the same time, feels so good about being twisted, turned, morphed, shifted, shaped, and transformed into a duck for the amusement for your master. And as you feel yourself twisted, turned, morphed, shifted, and shaped into a duck, the more that you do, the more that you feel satisfied, knowing that you're humiliated by your master, and that you are dominated to follow the whim of your master, that you also satisfy and serve and please your master. Something about that just feels so good and so irresistible, and it just becomes exactly what it is that you want to do. You can try to resist it, but the more that you try, the more that it just happens instead. Now in a moment's time, I'm going to count you from 1 to 3, and then when I reach 3, then you'll wake up, but as a duck, and you'll feel the instinct to flap your wings at a quack. You can't help it. You could try to resist it, but the more you try to resist it, the more then it just happens instead. And when I click my fingers again, and I say the word sleep, then you will sleep. Go down, drop down, sink down into this wonderful, deeply and totally relaxed, passive, and obedient state for your master once again. And now, beginning with 1, as you feel lifting, rising, floating, feeling that takes you back up, pulls you back up as you feel yourself lifting back up. And 2, as your quacking begins to click into place and your wings begin to extend down. Now 3. Quack, quack. And now, sleep. Good. And now as you drip down, float down, drop down, snap down into that even deeper, even more relaxed and passive, obedient state, the more that you do, the more that you feel your mind just melting and falling, dripping down and falling down into my hands and under my control. It just feels so good to submit and to surrender your mind and your will to your master. It feels so good to give and yield and surrender control to your master for his entertainment. And so, in a moment's time, in a little while, I'm going to count you up from 1 to 5, and as I do, you'll feel a lifting, rising, floating feeling that will take you back into a nice and half awake, half asleep state. But when you get into that nice and half awake, half asleep state, then you will leave a comment for me. A comment that says, "My mind is yours to control, Master Dominic." You will leave a comment that says, "My mind is yours to control, Master Dominic." And you will like this video as well. And you will subscribe if you haven't already. And as you do each and every single one of these things, it is an act of obedience, of servitude, and of worship for your master, so much you'll feel a wonderfully tingly feeling that just courses and surges all throughout you. that rewards you for obeying your master, being such a good, obedient servant for your master. Now, beginning with 1, as you feel a lifting, rising, and floating feeling, that begins to take you back up. 2, coming up even more, and further, and faster. 3, already halfway there. 4, almost all the way back up now. And 5, eyes open and awake. Alright, dudes, check out Dominicator.com to schedule an appointment with me to get hypnotized. Check you later, dudes.